So yes, I did find information that serves to state the problem graphically and numerically. The way we did this was first we took the image of the parabola and overlapped an image of a graph on top. And at this point we had several points that we could find that the parabola intersected on the graph, such as the x and y intercepts, the 5 points in the vertex, and we used these points on an Excel grapher thing to find the function and the graph of the finished parabola. So that was how we obtained it graphically and numerically. So yes, I did use mathematical notation and language, and the way we did this was by, as stated in the last question, we obtained the function and the graph of it, which was what we used to represent the problem graphically and numerically, which is considered a mathematical notation. So yes, I did get the independent and dependent variables, and the way I did this was independent is always going to be x and dependent is always going to be y, and considering our parabola, x was like this, so it was the horizontal distance, and y, obviously like this, was the height of the skier. And what I learned from this was that you can use this knowledge of a parabola to know when you're going to reach that maximum point, the largest height, and know when to turn back down, because as the skiers go, they go sort of like that. Yeah. And I additionally understood that with parabolas, you can just have such a better understanding of when to go up and when to go back down. And you can know the exact moment of when you're supposed to turn based on, for example, the distance that you are from the starting point or how high up you are, which is sort of cool because this prevents injuries and helps you land tricks better. So as mentioned previously, I did manage to get the function of the sports image parabola by first overlapping an image of a graph on top of the image of the sports parabola. From this, finding the actual shape of the parabola and the points that it intersected in, I guess you could say, especially points in the important 5 points, vertex, x-intercept, y-intercept. From this, we used this on Excel with the Excel table grapher tool. And from here, that was how we obtained the graph and the function. So this function we did obtain a function, and it represented the parabola pretty well, considering we used the specific numbers and points of it. So for me, the purpose of this project was to really understand how math can help athletes, especially because as a kid, I heard so much about it. There were these shows where it was like these nerds that would like create equations to manage to throw a ball in the perfect way, and I didn't understand it very well, and that was why that was what I wanted to learn from this. However, I believe the point of the activity was more to get us to understand the way parabolas can help athletes and how they can help and what we can attribute it to. For example, like considering the x and y, what it would represent, and how we could figure out how we could create a graph and a function based on the parabola that we want to create. And I believe I did manage to do that, because I managed to understand how the x and y represented horizontal distance and height, and how by using a parabola, you know what the vertex is, so therefore what the highest point is going to be. And when, for example, when skiers have to turn, based on this knowledge of a parabola of how far they've gone from left to right, they know when they've gotten to the highest point. Or, for example, with any other sport, you can really use a parabola to sort of know better how to throw a ball or how to jump up in the air. And this actually helps prevent injuries and helps to make tricks properly. And this is actually pretty helpful. So I believe I did learn I also learned how to make the parabola. So how to make the function and graph based on the parabola. So I believe I did learn what I wanted to learn. So answering this question, I did generate strategies to accomplish the goals. Um, Overall, for example, for the first phase, we planned out how we were going to decide things, how we were going to get things done, how much work we would divide. For example, phase two, we divided the work evenly, worked hard, and got it all done within a specific amount of time that we set. So we could say that because we organized it and set times and divided work, we did set strategies to accomplish it. And we also set a bit of like a brainstorming strategy, so whoever had any ideas could add to it, which I think actually helped us achieve the goals quicker of finishing. It could be of finishing these activities or of understanding the the problem and solving it. I believe I did listen in an active and responsible way because first of all, I took into I listened to anything they might have said. I took it all into consideration. If there was a difference of opinions, we reached compromises and really tried to help each other out and tried to understand each other. So I believe I did listen to others' proposals and ideas in a respectful way. Over the course of this project, I think I learned several things. I learned how to work efficiently, time effectively, and how to organize myself so that I can get things done on time. Although relating this to the topic, I believe I learned a lot about how sports is actually very related to parabolas and parabolas. Knowledge of parabolas and how to graph and make functions out of these can actually be very helpful to people who play sports in general. It can help them, for example, know at what height they have to turn, what the maximum height is. For example, for skiers, this helps them stop injuries. Or, for example, in order to generally land tricks properly, this can be very helpful for them. And up to this point, I hadn't really understood exactly how parabolas were helpful. I understood that they existed and that they were supposed to be helpful, but I hadn't understood how, and now I did. So, yeah, that's good. So I believe one thing I might have changed would have been my stress amount, because I wasn't sure whether we were going to finish everything on time. So I got a little bit worried, and this affected the others and created a bit of tension and not the healthy teamwork working system that we had most of the time. This was just for phase two. We had 1 hour to hand it in, and that worried me quite a bit. And I believe that since this didn't help very much for the teamwork environment, I guess you could say, that there was, I probably should have trusted a bit more in the abilities of my classmates and a bit more in the ability to get it all done in time. And yeah, that's the only thing I probably would have done differently.